Speaking of trouble, let's talk about DeShaun Watson. Now he's got more problems off the field in Cleveland. He's not playing well, does not look like he's totally healthy, seems to be a shadow of the player he used to be. DeShaun Watson has now been sued by another woman in Houston. This will be the 25th sexual misconduct lawsuit against the former
25th?
Houston Texans. Well, there were 24 when he was in Houston, this whole masseuse situation. He settled 23 of the 24 out of court. Another woman has come forward and said he raped me in my apartment in 2020. Now, it's kind of hard for me to believe that she waited this long to file the suit. Tyreek's lawyer is of the opinion that statute of limitations expired. The NFL is now interceded. They're going to interview the woman, and they're going to interview the woman's lawyer. That lawyer, by the way, is the one that represented all the other women that settled these cases finally out of court. The big question I have is that DeShaun Watson has already been suspended by the NFL for 11 games and was fined $5 million. So I don't think you can go back and discipline him a second time for an incident that occurred in that window, which he's already been disciplined for. Mm-hmm. So that bears some watching as we go there. At the end of the day, this guy looks like a social deviant. This guy really looks like a slug. This guy's got $230 million guaranteed, and right now he's a poor player. And I think the general consensus is what a bad citizen this guy is. So that's the DeShaun Watson story. Adrian Peterson, great running back, Minnesota Vikings. Adrian Peterson, his home and all of his possessions seized by the sheriff's department in North Texas because he refused to pay money owed in bankruptcy claims. He's got debts with all these banks he's refused to pay back. He says, I'm bankrupt. This guy made $102 million in his career and has got no money. And he owes $12.5 million to a bank, which won a court case against him. So on Monday and Tuesday, they went in and seized all of his property and his possessions and his cars and everything because he's just refused to do that. Speaking of being a bum, how could you make all that money and be bankrupt? So that's another weird story. NFL football, Thursday night football, got Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins.
Hey.
Oh, Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa. That's going to be fun. Problem is, Buffalo doesn't have a lot around that quarterback. I think Buffalo's in trouble as a team, but this will be great, a great Thursday night game. Raider Nation, do you have Ryan Tannehill's phone number in Tennessee?
What's the area code there, Lee?
They got a huge problem with the Raiders. They're going to start Gardner Minshew this weekend in Baltimore. Gardner did not play well against the Chargers at all. This continues to be a history of Gardner can throw a touchdown, Gardner will throw a pick, Gardner will fumble. Gardner takes a lot of quarterback sacks. I don't know. He looks like he's overwhelmed by this level of play. Maybe they should go to Aiden O'Connor, or maybe they should call Ryan Tannehill. Try to solve the quarterback problem there. So they've got a real issue there with the Raiders. Browns in Jacksonville. Somebody is going to be 0-2 by Sunday, and that's not going to be good. And obviously the Browns played really poorly at home, and they got stomped by the Cowboys. You got Deshaun Watson, who doesn't look like he's the same player. There is no Nick Chubb. Their secondary has been chewed up by injuries. Jaguars are coming off an opening day loss. They are desperate. They do not want to be 0-2 to start the season. Browns might be 0-2 because a lot of people in Cleveland really dislike that owner, Jimmy Haslam. They'd like him to be 0-2. There's a lot of people now, I think, are turning on Deshaun Watson for who he is and how he's acted. Last item, NFL TV ratings. Amazing. First weekend of the season, John. All-time record ratings, NFL.
Really?
First weekend, 21 million average viewership each game. 21 million. Thursday night football, Kansas City, Baltimore last Thursday, 29.2. Fox, Tom Brady's debut, Dallas, Cleveland, 23.8 million viewers. Sunday night football, Rams, Detroit, that overtime shootout, 22.8 million. The only one that didn't have great numbers was subscription. Peacock, Friday night football, Green Bay, Philly, they drew 14.3 million. All-time record, though, for the first weekend of the season, 21 million.
Wow.
Okay. The floor is yours to talk about the quarterback, the bankrupt running back, and anything and everything in the NFL.
All right. First of all, DeShaun Watson, I'm just disappointed with his play on the field. I mean, this is a sports podcast. On that level, I'm disappointed in this man. But, 24 previous accusations, and now this is number 25. Obviously, there's a pattern, but it's the same lawyer. So it might be a little bit of an ambulance chasing kind of thing here. But in the end, this is not boding well for his athletic performance. All these distractions in his head. It's just a mess. Adrian Peterson, when I first saw the name up on the board, I was thinking, remember that caning controversy where he was beating his kid? So this guy's had a checkered past. But how in the hell do you earn $104 million and not have anything left? I mean, you got poor advice. You see this with these guys. They make a ton of money, and you think, God, get a financial, consultant to help you put some of it away and set it up safely. He didn't. Bills tonight, the game tonight, Bills Dolphins, where is it?
Miami.
Okay, so we get to save the other game till later in the season when it gets cold in Buffalo. That'll be good. I'm hoping Josh Allen has people to throw to. The Raiders are a mess. The social media has been lit up with all the Raider verticals that we've been doing. We're going to talk more about that. But generally speaking, Raider fan is not happy with Gardner Minshew, and they're worried. Browns, again, I don't really know what to make of them. The Nielsen TV ratings, I was just doing the math in my head for the traditional networks like Fox and CBS, et cetera. That sounds like it's 7 to 8% of the total population of America. Nobody does that except like when you get Super Bowls or super duper special events, right?
Well, 93 of the top 100 television shows last year, NFL football.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, it's just amazing. So I think the Peacock numbers, I think people are still trying to struggle on how they're going to subscribe and how do I do. And a lot of people are like, God damn it, I can't find my football game. And, there's going to be a lot of that, restlessness. But over time, I think that's going to work itself out. But, people in America, they love the NFL, and the season started and it's like a big party in America.
Sidebar comment. We didn't really touch bases on this when we did the Monday podcast because there are so many other things to discuss. Tom Brady's debut on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Letter grade C. Speech was halted. His cadence was not very good. You could sense that the play-by-play guy, Kevin Burkhardt, was just feeding him softball questions, and Brady was fouling him off. He didn't do a good job. In essence, what I'm telling you, he was not the glib, wisecracking Tony Romo. He wasn't the insightful, passionate Greg Olsen. Kind of disappointing. To use quarterback lingo, Tom Brady broadcaster needs a lot of reps.
He needs a lot of reps. I think it's funny how you use like a baseball softball analogy to describe a football commentator, fouling them off and getting softball questions. It could be the first time out, maybe a little nerves, a little bit of the yips, but I think he's going to be fine. But Olsen and Romo are very talented at what they do. I mean, Brady's getting this gig because of who he is and, his celebrity status and being one of the greatest football players, if not the best of all time. But as an announcer, jury's still out. And I think they're just hoping his pretty face is going to get ratings.
Well, ratings, but he's got to provide insightful, quick-witted comments.
Yes.
Now, maybe there's an uncomfortable zone there that we have to pay attention to. Maybe he's not going to feel comfortable talking about how really crappy DeShaun Watson looks or plays or responds. That's what was the case last week in the Dallas-Cleveland game he brought. You got to broach the subject. You don't have to condemn the guy, but you need to broach why he is acting the way he is and why he's playing so poor and his footwork, blah, 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 blah. He didn't do any of that. He just didn't feel comfortable at all. And his cadence was slow. And, color analyst, thought process, quick, insightful, be glib, be funny, be pompous, be something. Don't be what Tom Brady was last week.
Now, back in the day when you did the Chargers radio broadcast, did you and Laszlovic
and Pat
Curran, you guys had like a chemistry, a rhythm, but did you discuss these things like, before you went on the air and say, okay, I'm going to do this and you can do that?
No, I didn't feed them anything. What I said was, I will paint the picture, the play. Laz, Pat, you color it in. Say what you want. Make it quick, to the point. Get it back to me as they're coming back to line of scrimmage for the next snap. And they did. And we kind of hit it really well. And for the most part, it worked pretty well. And then when Pat left, we had Chet 40 for 1 year. And he was different because he had never done that before. and his commentary got a little bit elongated, and he tended to repeat himself. And I tapped him on the shoulder during the timeout and said, "Okay, you just made that reference 2 comments ago, so you don't need to make that reference again. Just paint it a little bit different." He got better and better. And Philly Billy Warndell was just loud. So, we had a good team, and everybody had their space. There wasn't a fight of, "I want my airtime, damn it." Well, I'm going to give you your airtime. Just give me good content within your window.
What's your take on the 3-man booth versus the 2-man booth?
Well, it's interesting because I did 3 here right from the beginning as a voice of the Chargers, and we hit the floor and we got along really well. And, I was different than Laszlovic, and Pat Curran was really different than anybody. So it was playing off each other. It was really different. I went to Seattle. I did the Seahawks for 3 years, and I was paired with their former wide receiver, their color analyst, Steve Rabel, who was really good. He was glib and he was pointed. We had a third guy, a sideline guy. I had never worked with a sideline guy. Ron Callan, great guy. And we would go down to him on the sidelines, and, he knew he had 15 seconds. And this is what just happened on the sidelines. Been a fight on the sidelines between our defensive tackle and the defensive line coach. They got to solve this right now, but there was a shoving incident there. Back to you up top, Lee. And so he got it quick. I said, we developed that 2+1 was really dynamic, just like the 3 in the booth here.
Well, all the sideline reporters now are beautiful women, and Scott Kaplan.
Yeah.
Is Kaplan still doing that?
No. I think he left a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So that's the latest around the NFL from TV ratings, etc. If you watch Tom Brady, I'd be interested in you and the fans forum. Just give us a reaction to everything that's gone on there from NFL football.